Next we have, I don't even know if enough people know about it to even be called a cult classic. We have a found footage movie titled Hull House LLC from 2015. It's a pretty interesting movie. If you've seen found footage movies, you sort of know what to expect. Basically, some type of unexplained malfunction happens during sort of like one of those Halloween haunted house type things. And there's an investigative team trying to find out what actually happened that night. And so we get some sort of like news reports from that night and just different ideas from different people. And then one of the individuals who was involved in the crew to open that reveals some, I guess, behind the scenes footage of what went on behind the scenes building up to that night. And it's just sort of like sort of goes back and forth, showing us what happens. The slow sort of, I don't know if you would call it supernatural happenings, but showing us what happens and what happens to the different individuals. We get multiple different points of view on sometimes the same scene. And it's one of those found footage movies that I think goes above and beyond what many found footage movies do. When it comes to horror found footage movies, I feel like many of them aren't that great. I feel like they follow sort of a somewhat generic formula, and I think if they follow that, it should be okay. But this one sort of spices things up a bit. And to be honest, I think it's probably one of the best found footage horror movies, at least that I've seen, in like the last 10 years. And it's sort of a shame that I don't hear more people talking about this one. But before I praise it anymore, I'll let you go check it.
I thought the movie was quite decent. Found footage movies in general, I think they're just somewhat limited. Like, I don't think the found footage genre is something that's capable of ever giving me like a 10 out of 10 movie. Of course, I'm happy if one comes along and proves me wrong, but I just think a lot of the things that I value in a movie just can't be done in a found footage movie, or would just make no sense to be in a found footage movie. Like we've discussed on some previous movies, a lot of the movies that I give a 10 out of 10 to, I think typically they always involve having really great music or a really good soundtrack. And this is something which I don't think has any music for obvious reasons. Or if it does, it's just, the credits or whatever. But
It does have that one guy singing the song from What Happened to Baby Jane.
yeah. But, well, it actually reminds me of, my father-in-law. Whenever he's over, he's watching, if he's watching a movie, whatever kind of movie it is, and you start hearing music in the background of a movie, he says, "So, where's the band? Where's the person playing violin?" He kind of jokes about it. So, but yeah, I mean, just some of the things that I value in a 10 out of 10 movie just would make no sense to even be in a found footage movie. I mean, why would someone in the background be playing scary violin music? I don't know, whatever. But, with that being said, I think this is one of the better found footage movies that I've seen. It's a genre that I really don't go out of my way to watch, and I think it's just because, like I said, it's very limited. I think even with the scares, I think there's some effective scares in this movie, but they are somewhat following the same formula, or they do become just a little bit repetitive. Like, they'll be focused on something, the camera will turn away, turn back, and now something's suddenly appearing, or vice versa. It's there, they look away, they look back, and now it's gone. And that happens a lot in the movie. And it probably happens a lot in all found footage movies. But, like I said, they are still quite effective, despite the somewhat repetitive nature of those type of scares.
I guess on a somewhat related note, I've seen this movie 3 times now. I watched it I think 3 days ago. One thing that always stuck out to me was there's always some really small things that you might miss the first time you're watching it. And then you watch again and you see something else in the background. Or, window turning the camera, you just, for a split second, you might notice some type of, shadow that may or may not be a human who wasn't there before. It's those very small things that I highly doubt you'll catch every single one the first time you see it. So, from someone who's watched it 3 times, I sort of really enjoy it's not really necessarily a new experience, but just knowing there's quite a bit in the movie that you may not see the first time. Another thing I just wanted to mention was, as some other characters like Chucky might be repetitive, I still think they have a very effective feel to them. The whole thing with, whether or not the clowns could turn their hearts or not, that's brought up multiple times throughout the movie. That's something I sort of really enjoyed, because it shows like almost an increasing paranoia among the people, and closer and closer to opening the night, there's such like high tension going on. So I know there's a lot about this movie, especially the characters, that really sort of stand out to me. And if you're hesitant about watching a found footage movie, I'd sort of recommend watching this one and at least giving it a try, seeing if it does anything for you. And if not, you can probably give up on the whole found footage style of movies.
Yeah, they are. It's quite an effective movie for a found footage movie. There's only just so much you can do in this type of movie, I feel, and they did more than what the average one would do.
Now, out of interest, if I may ask, what other found footage movies sort of, I guess, stand up to this one in your eyes?
I mean, well, the only one that I can think of that jumps to mind is obviously the Blair Witch Project. Now, I have seen, I saw the Blair Witch Project in the theaters, and while I still don't overly love that movie, I think it's still, either the best or one of the best found footage movies, because they've done so much with so little. Now, I mean, there's some other ones, maybe Grave Encounters. I can't really remember it too well. Yeah, it's just like I said, it's a genre of movies that I just have no confidence that I'm going to get anything better than a 7 to 8 out of 10 type movie. And this movie certainly on the better side of that. So,
yeah, I'll just say one more thing about this movie. I sort of like how there's some things that are known to some of the characters that are sort of cut from the audience. There's a whole sort of subplot that's alluded to a few times, but it's not really explained until the second movie. But when you watch this one, you can sort of catch on to what's going on. And in the movie, there's like only 3 characters who know this, sort of like a secret behind the scenes type thing. But it's sort of, I sort of like how the audience doesn't fully know everything. They turn off the camera before they talk about this type of stuff, and to me it just makes the movie feel just a little more real. It would not necessarily give all the answers, and would left guessing, hey, what's going on? And I think this movie did a pretty good job with that type of thing. When it comes to my views, I think this is probably one of the, like I said, one of the best found footage movies in at least the last 5-6 years. I have a hard time coming up with one I liked more than this one. I'll probably give this one an 8.5 out of 10, and I'll definitely round up to a 9. So it's definitely a movie I'd recommend to any fans of the horror genre, and hopefully you have a good time.
Well, I give the movie a 7 out of 10, which is a pretty decent rating for me. Slightly above average type movie. For a found footage movie, it's definitely one of the better ones out there. I had a good time with it. It's got some effective scares. It's just limited with the found footage genre itself.
So basically, when you have a found footage night, pretty much every movie's getting a below a 6.
Well, outside of the really good ones, and I would say this is definitely one of the good ones. So yeah, I mean, certainly a 7 out of 10 is a pretty decent rating, I think. I guess the only last thing I wanted to say about it, I know the one guy who had invested a lot in this haunted house. He had his reasons to kind of stick around, but I tell you, if I was one of these other guys, after seeing some of these things, maybe after the second time, I'd be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not coming back in this place after seeing, at least maybe 2 occurrences of really fucked up things happening.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite scenes is when this guy is talking to a clown and he thinks it's one of the guys in the house, and then he walks back to the guy who he thinks it is, and he just freaks out. and then they're watching the scene later and they're like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? And I know, I think that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I definitely would not be staying there after that.